Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umrisamyena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Krishna Kirtana Bhanana Tanapano.
Hare Krishna. Welcome back to this video series on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are currently on Chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. After Krishna answers Arjuna's questions in Chapter 8, he continues speaking in Chapter 9 the knowledge about himself that he had begun explaining in Chapter 7. Krishna begins Chapter 9 by stating that the knowledge he should now reveal is the most confidential, for it is about his actual position, which only the non-envious and faithful can understand. Krishna continues explaining that although independent and aloof, he pervades creation and annihilates the entire cosmos through his material energy. Text number 1. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Those who are not faithful on the path of devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of foes, but return to birth and death in this material world. By me, in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, still myself is the very source of creation. As the mighty wind, blowing everywhere, always rests in ethereal space, know that in the same manner all beings rest in me. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, every material manifestation enters into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I again create. The whole cosmic order is under me, but my will is manifested again and again, and by my will it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am never detached, seated as though neutral. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Fools deride me when I descend in human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be." Srila Prabhupada writes in his first purport to this chapter, "The matters which are described in the 9th chapter deal with pure, unalloyed devotion. Therefore, this is called the most confidential." Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes Krishna's explanation of the progression of each of the Gita chapters as follows. The knowledge useful for liberation taught in the 2nd, 3rd, and subsequent chapters is confidential. The knowledge useful for attaining Krishna taught in the 7th and 8th chapters is more confidential, because by that knowledge, the truth about the personality of Godhead is known. That knowledge is the science of devotional service. In this chapter, however, the word knowledge needs to be interpreted as meaning bhakti. It is not the same knowledge described in the first 6 chapters. In the 8th chapter, Krishna explained that his devotee fixed solely upon him surpasses both the path of light and the path of darkness. In this chapter, Krishna will explain, again, without being prompted by Arjuna, how to become an Ananya Bhakta. it starts with hearing. Krishna makes 3 points in the first verse. The first, one becomes advanced by hearing about Krishna. Second, one must be non-envious to hear properly. And third, one becomes free from material miseries when he hears properly and cultivates devotional practices. Sukham indicates that this knowledge will bring us great happiness and that its application, devotional service, is joyfully performed. Bhakti Yoga is joyfully performed because it entails using our senses in Krishna's services. Bhakti Yoga does not require, as Jnana Yoga does, that we renounce all activities. Renouncing sense activities does not bring joy, but rather dryness and misery. Beginning with text 4, Krishna begins to describe his simultaneous connectedness and non-connectedness with matter. The material world rests on his energy, but he is aloof. He is the source of the material world, and he maintains it, but he does not directly associate with it. He is freed from material nature, but material nature is not free from him. Although all living entities are within Krishna, are dependent on Krishna, and are supported by Krishna, they nevertheless act independently. How can one who is completely dependent act independently? This is an inconceivable feature of the relationship between the living entities and Krishna. Krishna thus limits the activities of the conditioned living entities, regardless of the extent of their power, to the circumference of the material world. Within the material sphere, they are free, and Krishna is detached from their independent activities and from the reactions that their activities generate. The living entities are thus simultaneously fully dependent on Krishna and independent of him. Srila Prabhupada's purport summarizes Krishna's relationship with the material world. Because he glances over material nature, there is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord. But he has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. This example is given in the Smriti. When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is perceived by the smelling power of the person. Yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordains. In summary, material nature, without their superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot do anything. Yet, the Supreme Personality is detached from all material desires and activities. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like a human being, can control the infinite and finite, those who are pure devotees accept this, for they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they completely surrender unto him and engage in Krishna consciousness, devotional service to the Lord. Text number 12. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted to demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Others who are engaged in the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second, diverse in many, and in the universal form. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rik, the Sama, and the Yajur Vedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. O Arjuna, I control heat, the rain, and the drought. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both being and non-being are in me. Those who study the Vedas and drink the soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. It is a great offense, therefore, to consider Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to be an ordinary man. Those who do so are certainly deluded because they cannot understand the eternal form of Krishna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that if one is practicing Astanga Yoga for liberation, or if one is practicing Karma Yoga, rituals for material well-being, or if one is practicing Jnana Yoga for knowledge and Brahman realization, all his aspirations will be crushed if he misunderstands Krishna's form to be material. No success is awarded to those refusing to accept Krishna's transcendental form. In his commentary on text 13, Srila Prabhupada describes the undiluted Mahatma, or great soul, who is situated within the divine nature. In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of material nature. One who surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, at once becomes freed from the control of material nature. That is the qualification. One can become freed from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the preliminary formula. Being marginal potency, as soon as the living entity is freed from the control of material nature, he is put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. The guidance of the spiritual nature is called Daivi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of a great soul or Mahatma. In text 16 through 19, Krishna is explaining how to see him within the objects of this world. Srila Prabhupada summarizes this point in his purport. Since Krishna is both matter and spirit, the gigantic universal form comprising all material manifestations is also Krishna, and his pastimes in Vrindavan as two-handed Shama Sundar playing on a flute are those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Students of the Vedas generally worship the demigods. As mentioned before, if such persons worship Krishna through their worship of the demigods, they are properly situated. If they worship the demigods as independent deities, however, they are purified and attain the heavenly kingdom. Verses 21 and 22 describe the result of demigod worship and how such worshippers obtain the necessities of life and satisfy their desires. Next, Krishna will explain the process by which the unalloyed devotees, whose only desire is to perpetually worship him, are maintained and receive their necessities. Properly worshiping and always fixed in devotion indicated the devotee's absorption in pure Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada writes, they are unable to live for a moment without being Krishna consciousness. They think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. With such determination, their practice of sadhana, the devotees neglect even their own maintenance and do not care for liberation. They leave both responsibilities to Krishna, and thus Krishna personally delivers them. This contrasts with a description given of the yogi In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 24, when it is said that the demigods, in shifts arranged for the soul's passage higher and higher through the material realm to the ultimate destination of the Brahma Jyoti. Krishna does not consider maintaining his devotee a burden. He wants to serve his devotee. Krishna is so powerful that simply by exerting his will, he can create unlimited universes. Maintaining his devotees is not a burden. Rather, it is his pleasure. Text 15 informed us that demigod worshippers worship Krishna indirectly. The next few texts answers the question, if the demigod worshippers worship Krishna indirectly, do they receive the same result as Krishna's unalloyed devotees? Text 23. Whatever a man may sacrifice to the other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. I am the only enjoyer, the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Those who worship the demigods take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. In this way, you will be freed from all reactions to good and evil deeds. And by this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is considered to be saintly because he is properly situated. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti. Declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Sudras, can approach the supreme destination. How much greater then are the Brahmins, the righteous, the devotees, and the saintly kings who in this temporary miserable world engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Offer your obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. To worship the demigods properly, one is required to perform elaborate sacrifices governed by intricate rules. Numerous pure and trained priests and huge amounts of ghee and other difficult to obtain ingredients are needed before one can perform such yagnas or sacrifices. Worshiping Krishna is simple. Patram, Pushpam, Patam, and Toyam are all in the singular. Krishna asks only for a leaf, a flower, water, or a piece of fruit. His request is not even for all of them. His actual desire is to taste the devotion of his devotee's offering. Therefore, he mentions bhakti twice in this verse for emphasis. The demigods are pleased by the offering. Krishna is pleased by the devotion of one who approaches him. A devotee not only offers these items to Krishna with devotion, but he bases his entire life on rendering service to Krishna. Therefore, the essential ingredients of an offering, the sentiments of bhakti, are not only evoked at the time of the offering, but are cultivated throughout a devotee's life. The garden in which the grains, vegetables, fruits, and flowers are sown and grown is watered with devotion to Krishna. The flowers are picked and the food cooked with devotion. Finally, the items are served and offered to Krishna. Krishna stated earlier that he delivers his devotees and annihilates the miscreants. But shouldn't the Supreme Lord, who is the Father of all living entities, treat all, both the good and the bad, equally? Krishna is compared to rain. Trees absorb rainwater and then grow and produce fruits. Some trees produce bitter fruits and others produce sweet ones. Does this mean the rain is being partial? No. Similarly, regardless of a living entity situation, Krishna nourishes everyone equally. Srila Prabhupada writes, one may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone, and no one is a special friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination. It is natural. And any man in this material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and so he promotes everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless whether it falls on a rock or land or water. But for his devotees, he gives special attention. The power of the devotee's determination to perform bhakti exclusively causes Krishna to uplift and protect them if they have acted improperly. Such a fixed devotee is quickly purified by their desire to remember the Lord. As Srila Prabhupada points out, there is no need for them to perform ceremonial atonement. Devotion alone is sufficient. And finally, Krishna gives 4 confidential instructions. 1. Man mana, always think of me. 2. Bhava mad bhaktya, become my devotee. And 3. Mad jagni, worship me. And 4. Man namaskuru, offer obeisances to me. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic literature. The middle 6 chapters are the essence of the Gita, and the 9th and 10th chapters are the essence of the middle 6 chapters. Finally, the last verse of this chapter, which is exactly in the middle of the Gita and which will be repeatedly, practically verbatim in the end of the Gita, is the most confidential and essential sloka. It is the essence of the essence of the essence of the most confidential of all knowledge. Become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. That ends this chapter. Thank you for watching. Hope you will return when we will discuss chapter 10, the opulence of the Absolute. Hare Krishna.
Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghunatam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tana Param Primam Tambani Vira Dhira Jana Priya Priya Nima Sajam Pujito Krishna Kirtana